Welcome to Bleach Revisited, Episode 8. In this episode, we'll be starting Volume 2 and discussing Chapter 8 of the Bleach manga. But also, before we get into that, there's a few things that I actually missed from the end of the last volume that I wanted to touch on. There's actually two little character background pages that I'd like to do typically at the end of each of these volumes. I just didn't realize that I actually had those extra pages there in that volume. So let me get into that first before we get into the reading for Chapter 8. So we have a little background on Ichigo Kurosaki. Overall attendance score is 13. His male student attendance score is 6. He is 174 centimeters tall, 61 kilograms. Blood type AO. Date of birth July 15th. So 15 being kind of resonant with Ichigo there, right? He likes slim fit shirts and pants, likes chocolate and Karashi Mentaiko. His favorite celebrities are Mike Ness and Al Pacino. The person he respects most is William Shakespeare. How to pronounce his name? Ichigo, emphasis on the I or the E, accented like Ichigo. Ichigo. And here we get a sketch. His theme song, Bad Religion, News from the Front, recorded in Stranger Than Fiction. So yeah, Kubo likes to give theme songs for all of his characters. He really likes, there's a little bit of a musical flair. Again, this is a guy really into music, really into kind of fashion and style. So you'll see that expressed a lot through the characters. But we also have a little background for Rukia. So, overall attendance score 11, female student attendance score 6, Rukia Kuchiki. Ooh, hopefully don't stumble over that too much. 144 cm, 33 kilograms, date of birth January 14th. She doesn't like tight clothes, likes climbing into high places, likes rabbit-related items, likes cucumber and shiratama, but the list could get longer. Her theme song is Ashley McIsaac's Wingstock, recorded in Hi, How Are You Today? I always like whenever Rukia is depicted in these kind of nice sundresses and things like that. Lots of cute dresses for Rukia and the extra art. Anyway, now we'll begin Volume 2 proper. There will be a little bit of a forward from Kubo type. So, this is Bleach Volume 2, story and art by Kubo Tite. Little girly, fancy, has a ribbon, doesn't taste good, twisting body. I'm gaining weight. Not good. Very not good. I don't know what to do. Any suggestions? Let me know if there's a good diet out there. Preferably something fast and easy, without a lot of dietary restrictions, and that will make me popular with the ladies. Kubo type. Bleach is author Kubo Tite's second title. Kubo made his debut with Zombie Powder, a 4-volume series with weekly Shonen Jump. To date, Bleach has been translated to numerous languages and has also inspired an animated TV series that began airing in Japan in 2004. Beginning its serialization in 2001, Bleach is still a mainstay in the pages of weekly Shonen Jump. Yes. People have hope because they cannot see death standing behind them. Bleach, Volume 2. Goodbye, Parakeet. Good night, my sister. Stars and, of course, Bleach All Stories. So, a few characters here. Orihime Inoue, Rukia Kuchiki, Ichigo Kurosaki, Tatsuki Arasawa, Kisuke Urahara, Yasutaro Chad Sado. The plot. 15-year-old Ichigo Strawberry Kurosaki can see ghosts. Otherwise, he is a typical high school student until the day a hollow, a malevolent lost soul, came to eat him, and the Soul Reaper Rukia Kuchiki stepped into his life. To defeat the hollow and save his family, Ichigo let Rukia transfer some of her Soul Reaper powers to him. But when Rukia was left powerless, she recruited Ichigo for her war against the murderous soul-gobbling hollows. Now, Ichigo's near-invincible classmate Chad has turned up at the family clinic with strange wounds and a mysterious parakeet. Bleach Volume 2, Goodbye Parakeet, Good Night My Sister. Chapter 8, Chasing Chad. Ichigo, breakfast is ready. Yesterday, around 5:30 in the afternoon, 5 cars collided at an intersection in Karakura Town, 3rd District. Hey, where's Karen? Miraculously, no one was killed. She didn't want to eat. She's not feeling well. I'm worried. Karen's sick? That's strange. Ichigo! Bad news! Chad's not in his room! Bleach, Chapter 8, Chasing Chad. Hey! Hey, what's up, Ichigo? You got here just in time. Is Chad here? Huh? Have you seen Chad? No, not today. I don't think he's here yet. That's weird. He's usually here 10 minutes before class. And a manly man like Chad wouldn't miss school over the sniffles. What's this about, Ichigo? Want to play with his parakeet? Hey, where are you going? Wait, Ichigo, that's the bell. All right, people, take your seats. Time to explore contemporary literature. Ichigo, where do you think you're going? Sorry, gotta talk to the head. The head? Is there a poisonous mushroom that makes people run? I don't know. I think he was looking for Chad. Okay. Okay. He'll probably be back later. Time to take attendance. Karakura South Elementary School. Women. What? Karen, you okay? Ugh, go away. I'd like a little privacy. Get to class. But I'm worried. I'm alright. Now go away or I'll punch. Ugh. Ugh. How's Karen? Midori? Never mind. That doesn't sound good. Yuck. Oh. Hey, she stopped. Yikes! Yuzu, I'm going home. Get my bag from the classroom. What? Going home, Karen? Just get it. Okay. Looks like the worst is behind you, Karen. What are you doing here, Midori? Huh? Beat it. Okay. See ya. Wow, Karen's scary when she's sick. Ichigo. Rukia, find anything? Any clues? No. You? Nothing. No messages from Soul Society, and I don't sense anything either. When hollows aren't chasing souls, they hide between the world of the living and the Soul Society. So, world of living, Soul Society, hollow. Presence can only be sensed whenever the hollow is here. Hiding place for hollows, invisible for detection. We can't locate it until it shows up in the real world to attack Chad. That's why we wait for orders from Soul Society. Chad's in serious danger. Shoot. If we wait for it to attack, it'll be too late. There's gotta be something. I got it! Chad's parakeet. Can we use it to detect the presence of the hollow? What? That's impossible. Come on. Ichigo? What's this sensation? It can't be. It's not possible. The soul in that parakeet? Even I can't sense such a weak soul at this distance. And the human soul is being partially eclipsed by the parakeets, making it even harder to detect. To home in on from so far away. This is really gotcha. This way. Oh, okay. Reiraku, spirit ribbon, a sign of ghosts, but only a seasoned Soul Reaper could see them. Could he really be developing so quickly? I think we ditched him somehow. Wait, mister, you're in danger. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm nothing if not sturdy, so. It found us! We're out of here! Mister, don't worry, we're gonna make it. And I promise, I'm gonna save your mother, too. There! It's Chad! Hey! Jeez, Chad, stop running! You need my help! Ichigo! Karen! What's the matter? You look bad. Karen? Ichigo! You better take her home. I'll keep after them. What? I can't just leave you? Do as I say! If we leave her here, you'll be worrying about her when you fight the Hollow. You'll get us both eaten. Take her home and come back. Hurry. Rukia, you don't have the strength to fight a Hollow by yourself. Please, don't take any chances. Don't be stupid. A veteran Soul Reaper never takes unnecessary risk. Now go. You okay, Karen? Hang in there. Ichigo, I saw it. A memory from the soul in the parakeet yesterday. Maybe because I'm closest in age, his strongest memory flowed into my mind. He saw it all. He saw his mother get murdered. Please, Ichigo, help him. Help him, please. Wait, you're going home too? What the hell am I going to tell the teacher? That's been Chapter 8, and the beginning of Volume 2 of Bleach. As always, the next thing that we'll launch into is an analysis and reaction to this chapter. I'll be looking at narratively as well as visually kind of what's going on. Yeah, so go ahead with the chapter. As far as the earlier content for the beginning of volume and the end of the last one, I think that speaks for itself. You know, speculate as you will. But I do think it's cute that, you know, Kubo's thinking about losing weight. He certainly would lose a lot through his career and struggle as a mangaka. I'm glad that he's put on a little bit more recently. Anyway, so we start off kind of cute. In the first introduction that we got to Ichigo's family, we had Yuzu having food ready for him. So it seems as though Yuzu cooks for the family. And as always, she has this little cherry motif going on. Whereas, typically you think Ichigo's a strawberry, Yuzu's got the cherry motif. But yeah, Karen seems to be sick, and Ishin delivers the news, right? Yeah, what does this say? It's Killer Pop Blues #1. It's always like these kind of alternate titles, right? 7 and 8 notably adds to 15 on Ichigo's shirt there. It's another Ichigo reference. Anyway, always love that spread. I think it's really cute. Yeah, and clearly, obviously Ichigo's very concerned about his friend. Dude's been injured in his escape from their clinic, even though he was supposed to stay there and get some rest. I like that, we get these reiteration of Chad being a manly guy, being really tough. You get a lot of that in this chapter. But I also love Ichigo responding to a serious situation there. Yeah, it's time to explore contemporary literature. The teacher here she's kind of maybe used to Ichigo running out like this. She's like, well, he'll probably be back later. She takes it in stride. We also get a little bit more of Karen being affected by that interaction that she had with the spirit. I'll talk a little bit more about that later whenever we get to it, but we could see an intensity from her that, maybe in Ichigo, I think certainly, like whenever I think about Ichigo as kind of like this kind of individualist guy, this kind of punk or weird, almost loner type. I mean, he certainly has friends, right? It's not like he's like a complete social recluse, but this harder edge that he has to him, you see a little bit of that in Karen here, especially, right? That she also had this sort of mentality of bearing things on her own and not really wanting to involve other people and getting hostile whenever pushed in these certain ways. Yeah, I like that both Rukia and Ichigo are trying to find Chad here. We get a little bit of world building here, a little bit of explanation of how hollows work, and that they live in this place between the world of the living and Soul Society. That's where they hide, and whenever they chase souls, they come into the world of the living here. Assumably, they can also come into Soul Society either way, but whenever they chase souls, that's whenever they can be present, presenced, sensed. Oof. Anyway, when their presence can be sensed. But yeah, it basically, the idea being that the hollow isn't materialized into the world of the living yet, so there's no clue where it might be. And here, Ichigo makes the connection of like, okay, well, if I could just find the parakeet, then I can find them. And it's interesting that he's like makes the connection to the parakeet and then connects to the parakeet's soul. Maybe it'd be easier for him to connect to Chad, because she does mention that like the soul of the parakeet is such a like the human soul is hidden by the parakeet's soul. It makes a lot more sense if he would just attach to Chad, but I guess the assumption is that he's going for the parakeet because that's where the hollow might be, right? Because he knows that the parakeet has that human soul attached to it, and that a hollow might be drawn to it to consume its soul, perhaps. But here we get the first image of these spirit threads, and we really get the sense of Ichigo tapping into maybe a power that he doesn't fully have experience with, but understands to a degree, because he reaches out, needs this power, and grasp it, right? But that's the Reiraku, the spirit ribbons. Basically, connects to the spirits of others, lets them hone in on them. But apparently, that's a seasoned Soul Reaper's technique. That's not something that the average Soul Reaper could do. So she's surprised by how quickly he might be developing there. And we get. I love that we get a lot of like this like shots of like Rukia being genuinely kind of surprised or impressed here. I think that are a bit rare for her. Of like the way that this is all kind of happening around her. I mean, to jump back, this is also like a really great half-page kind of panel of all the threads coming up between them, right? So that's pretty cool. I also like that we've got Chad kind of hiding out in this factory, some sort of dump. But yeah, clearly the parrot can speak directly and communicate, whereas before it was kind of left vague. Again, highlighting always that kind of anticipatory moment, and maybe this is even, if you remember whenever Acid Wire appeared, right? There was like that crack through, slash through in Raku's face, or crack through kind of reality. Maybe this is sort of what's happening here, as this, there's this huge explosion. Chad dodges out of the way. But yeah, pretty intense kind of chasing. It's a lot of running around this chapter, a lot of I like this kind of Ichigo leaned over into this space while he's being called to, and then Karen very weakly being set in the center of this image. Just a lot of like good presentation of the characters here in a lot of ways. Like, even though Chad's presented as strong, he's still like covering himself and very much looking like he's like on the run. I think there's also meant to maybe be some suspicion that perhaps he's trying to run away from Ichigo. But we also have the idea that there's definitely a hollow after them. So it's unclear how much Chad understands the situation here. Right? And I like that, Rukia really, she brings up kind of an important point about like hesitation, and this concern about others, that like Ichigo is really driven about, like that's what kind of gives him his drive, his motivation is wanting to protect others, and so knowing that he's not in the place to protect his sister, which is literally like the people that he was trying to protect from the beginning of all of this, that would always be on his mind. And as we saw earlier in the fight with Acid Wire, back in I think chapter 6 thereabouts, maybe 5 actually, literally having stronger conviction in a fight will lend him power. So, pretty important that he doesn't have his mind elsewhere. But also I think Ichigo, this is an important moment too, is that he recognizes that even though Rukia does have access to her Kido, she definitely can't take on a hollow by herself, and that he doesn't want her to get overwhelmed, because that's also his initial understanding of where she's coming from, right? Is that he knows that Rukia is willing to sacrifice herself for him at the very least, because that's already happened. But I like it's a nice moment of really Ichigo looking out for Rukia and like showing a bit of concern for her. The beginning of the bond that those two are starting to share, as well as Rukia kind of playing it cool, being like, I'm a veteran soul reaper, I never take unnecessary risk, which is total BS. But like literally the whole reason she's in this situation is because of unnecessary risk, but that's beside the point. And we also learn here that, of course, maybe it's because they're close in age to each other, but she was able to like get this kind of memory, right, where this parakeet saw his mother getting killed, or like the soul in the parakeet. And again, there's this connection to both of them have a family where they've lost their mother, so that kind of suffering that he's going through certainly is a lot more at home for both of them. Both Karen and Ichigo, for sure. I mean, Yuzu as well, but here we see this shadowy presence appear behind Rukia, and that's the end of the chapter, right? So, not a lot kind of visually to talk about. I think there's overall solid visuals in this chapter, a lot of cutting between a lot of perspectives that I think works well, just because of the way that they frame these actions. I could probably get more into that, but it's all kind of just straightforward paneling work. Lots of effective reactions, but otherwise, not a lot to really talk about otherwise in this chapter. Just kind of them trying to get a beat on Chad, the biggest things I think is learning kind of these hollows. They come from this place in between the Soul Society and the human realm, right? The realm of mortals. So that explains kind of how Acid Wire was materializing out of thin air, as well as, assumably, this is a hollow coming for Rukia, Chad, and the Parakeet. So, yeah, that's basically it here for Chapter 8. Not a ton to say. Again, I think I will point out one of the kind of important things that will be a hallmark of Bleach is that anytime that there's like one of these kind of real emotional character moments, we get a real beat, like where we're just given space to focus on the character and their expression. This gets done more and more as Bleach continues, and I think a lot of, again, talking about like I think a criticism that kind of gets unfairly leveled against Bleach is that there aren't backgrounds, which is clearly untrue. There's a lot of background work, but during a lot of these emotional moments, intentionally the page is left blank, so your eye is focused solely on that character's expression or on that character kind of having those reactions that they are. I talk about Kubo being really having Kubo as an artist having this real sense of paneling and of depicting these characters in these kind of action moments and having a lot of legibility to the action and the art. And I think that's part of it, right? Is that rather than having a lot of visual clutter or other things going on, he kind of effectively uses uh, details and background to draw the eye more than anything. Um, Text bubbles can sometimes do that as well as sound effects. But you can see a lot of experimenting with that. I mean, clearly here, this is the way that this is all perspective shot is meant to draw our eye towards Ichigo running. And now, we read it right to left, so we get the now go and we get Rukia's legs, but we're visually drawn to Ichigo running, and then immediately we're brought into like the flip side of that over here with this panel of focusing on him holding his sister. So again, just lots of like visual stuff like that make is important and worthwhile. But yeah, never, like I said, the criticism of no backgrounds, the criticism of like, oh yeah, it's just these characters on white space. I think that's used intentionally, because certainly we have detail in pages like this or moments like this, but for these kind of more sentimental moments, like whenever he's like Rukia and says her name, and she has that moment of pause to listen to what he says, like that all goes white, right? Same thing here with him saying, "Don't take any chances," while his back is turned. So you can spot those all the time. Whenever something's meant to be drawn to a character's emotional response or like a very powerful moment for that character and their depiction, either they'll be front and center like this, or we'll get completely blank, kind of just showing the character. Yeah, there's a good bit of that with him and the spirit threads as well. Yep. Anyway, that's chapter 8. not a outside of those things, trying to find Chad, learn a little bit about hollows. Not a lot else going on. It's called Chasing Chad. That's what you get. Let's talk about connections. Bigger things kind of going on here. So again, this section of the video is going to have spoilers. If you're not here for being spoiled on later parts of Bleach, this is your chance to get out now. But we will be talking about how this chapter 8, connects to the other parts of the manga that we've yet to read. So if you're only up to chapter 8, well, unless you're interested in all that other stuff, even though you have no context for it, this is the time to get out. For those of us who are maybe rereading this or have watched the anime or for whatever reason are returning to it and want to see those connections, that's what this part of the video is for. So talking about like those larger connections, the foreshadowing, coming back to the little character poem sort of deal here at the beginning of the volume with Rukia, the people have hope because they cannot see death standing behind them. Again, we get reiteration of that imperceptible sort of threat that was initiated in the first character poem bit, the first volume. But I think also thinking of this is kind of coming from Rukia's perspective, right? This whole idea of hope, especially later whenever she's captured and she's set to be executed, that like there's a lot of this notion of characters that are aware of what's going on versus not, right? And certainly whenever we have villains who are manipulators, that ends up being kind of a big deal, right? So, I mean, outside of just the scope of like, people that aren't aware of, maybe this hollow threat aren't aware of, you know, Shinigami, so on and so forth. Maybe that's speaking towards that, but I think it resonates true in the larger sense, both for the situation that Rukia finds herself in, as well as a lot of the threats that we're presented with. Interesting that this sets up that, first of all, it mentions Kisuke before. He hasn't even shown up in any of the chapters yet. I mean, clearly he's been a player in all of this. But then Tatsuki's also mentioned there, even though, she's not very, I don't know how much significance she has towards the whole. I mean, this volume, certainly, she does a little bit. Maybe. But we'll find out, I guess. Anyway. Yeah. Trying to think of some of the other. So, running through here, trying to think of some of these other connections, already. Just trying to find Chad. Maybe the most Chad-centric chapter that we'll get in a long time. There's this whole interesting bit of Karen being like really sick, and I think I've got to imagine it's because of the connection with their mom, with Masaki. As far as seeing the actual memories of somebody from being like, having that connection with that spirit because of them being like the same age, I don't think that's anything that ever gets really revisited later. I'm not sure, Yeah, I don't know. It seems like an idea that maybe Kubo had early on, but didn't really come back and revisit because I can't remember if that ever happens again. If ever there's that sort of shared insight. Here I gotta assume that she's talking about Hueco Mundo is the place in between the Soul Society and the world of the living, right? I can't imagine that it's like, oh yeah, Hollows are just hanging out in like a Garganta or whatever. Whatever it is, right, where the cleaner shows up. The Don guy, right? Garganta's the portal they come through. Anyway. Oof. God, there's a lot of terms in Bleach. I'm glad I'm rereading it, because I definitely need to refamiliarize with a lot of this. Anyway, I imagine that this is just Hueco Mundo. It's just either one, they don't have a word for it yet. Kubo doesn't have that terminology readily available, or alternatively, I think it's more fashionably Rukia giving Ichiko just as much information as he needs, and by the same right, Kubo feeding us just as much as we need. We don't need to know that it's called Hueco Mundo, that it's a whole realm, on par with Soul Society. But the idea that they're in this transitory space works for this situation. This is the biggest connection really in this chapter, is Ichigo doing the spirit threads deal. So it gets brought up that that this is a like the Reiraku, and that only a seasoned Soul Reaper could see them is like a big deal. And I know that it comes up later again whenever Ichigo, I think, is trying to learn his Bankai, right? That he's able to find the true blade through using Reiraku there. But I also believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that it gets used by Ishida Uryu as well. And that those are the only times that we end up seeing this technique in the entire series. So even though she mentioned, it being a thing that only a seasoned Soul Reaper could see, it also seems like a technique that clearly Ichigo can use, being a human. I guess he has Rugia's powers, but the fact that I'm pretty sure Ishida uses them too. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm pretty sure this is another case for Ichigo tapping into some Quincy powers, actually, which we will see a lot more of once Ichigo really comes into using Zangetsu, whenever that rolls around. But yeah, interesting that the Rairaku comes up here, and like I said, I don't recall it ever being used in other situations. I'm trying to remember how Ishida. I think it's like there's a whole deal with like red threads. I'm gonna have to refamiliarize myself with all of it. Anyway, yeah, is Reiraku as Quincy technique? It certainly strikes me more as one than a Soul Reaper one, right? They're a lot more about like reishi and detection and things. Here I definitely think that the idea is that it's supposed to be a little ambiguous, but clearly they're trying to ditch this hollow and escape it. Chad may be familiar with these sorts of situations, not just being from Mexico or whatnot, but yeah, maybe because of his background as a full ringer. Yeah, I don't think I have any other really big connections there, other than again, I talked about this a little bit in the analysis, but Ichigo recognizing that Rukia doesn't really have the strength to take on a hollow as she is, telling her not to take any chances. Yeah, and laughing at the veteran Soul Reaper never takes unnecessary risk line. I think that's again just Rukia having that like Soul Reaper pride sort of deal, less so than that being an actual true or case. Though there are certainly, I mean, like that is an idea, like ideological with Soul Reapers, certainly maybe fits in some ways. I mean, you think about like Shinji, for instance, won't use his Bankai because it's not really suitable for like straight up fights. I guess same thing goes for Urahara. Also mentions his, right, that it doesn't really, because like it comes up I think during training, right? That's more of like a one-on-one sort of deal. Or perhaps it was Shunsui. So many characters have Bankai that have like an area of effect sort of deal, right? But the idea that they kind of conserve these powers, that they, all of that, maybe that speaks towards the whole unnecessary risk element. I'm not sure. Let me know if you think that's true or if that's just Rukia talking out her ass because she's being cocky. Otherwise, though, yeah, not a ton going in this chapter. It is what it is. Kind of leaves us on an exciting moment. We don't get to see the hollow yet. Like I said, I do believe it is Shrieker. If I am remembering correctly. If I'm not, well, prepare to be surprised. But I'm pretty sure that's the situation where, like, Shrieker's the one that killed his mother and is now using him to bait other people into doing a whole murder. And we learn about hell. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. Shorter video for this one. Not a lot going on, like I said. A few interesting connections, a few things to make note of, but otherwise, the biggest thing I think is just the Reiraku thing, the spirit threads, and the little like our first actual maybe note of what Hueco Mundo might be. Nod there. But regardless, thank you for getting to this video. Much shorter than the previous ones that came before. Still, 40 minutes. I'll work on that. We'll see if I'll ever get down to a 30-minute video. God, I'm gonna feel like I'm hella sparse, but that's still 10 minutes for each section, right? And usually the reads end after like about 7 to 10. So, woof, woof. Anywho, this has been Chapter 8 of Bleach, Episode 8 of Bleach Revisited. I am Karakura Gold. As always, these are unscripted forays into a reread of Bleach. That's all I have for now. Hopefully my cats weren't too damn noisy. They've been making noise running all around and trying to generally make this recording less worthwhile. I'm going to re-record this one, I think. Maybe not. Maybe this is the edit that'll go up. The edit in which you find that I live in an apartment with 2 cats that sometimes don't always understand that I am trying to record of audio-based medium. Anyway, have a great time. Don't forget, spirits are forever with you. And as always, stay gold.